it. Who does that? Who gives you a platform that it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your ability, it doesn't matter your technical skill, as long as you're in, you're going to win. That was gifted to us by our own sister Lerato Shadare, and also our brother King Dr. Derek Clark has boofed it up with some meaningful updates that's been happening to our beloved company. Over to you, King Dr. Derek.
Not able to share.
I don't know what's happened with this new update. Can you share now, Dr. Derek? I didn't change anything. Try and see whether you can share, Dr. Derek. Sorry about that.
We are here, we are on Your next stop is on Passive.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Oh, let me not ruin that song. I cannot give up my day job. We are so in it to win it. You've seen all the statistics. I know all of us are excited. We are excited for the next phase of our life. But I know that's why we came here today. As I said, in Dream Team, we wear multiple hats. So today, I'm going to start, and Sister Julie is going to take over, and Sister Debbie will join us when she joins us. So today, we are going to have one beautiful sister from the not so sunny state of California. No, it is sunny today, not California. Oh, I'm giving you California. Take the heat, my dear sister. From Canada, it's sunny today. So she said she'll take the sun. So it doesn't matter what you guys are saying in your sunny, hot island. She's going to take the sun today. She's going to give us our mindset. You know her, you've seen her. She'd like to stay behind the scene, but trust me, she's one of the ladies that make this program work behind the scene. And today she's going to stimulate our minds before we hear our main speaker today. She's not other than our sister. She's a God-fearing woman. She's love on passive to her soul. You will see her supporting multiple sister platforms. Sometimes I have to tell her it's okay to take a rest. But that is the type of person she wants. She wants all of us to succeed. So she's there to ensure that we're all engaged so we don't miss out when the big windfall comes. So I'm not going to waste time. I'll pass it over not to my sister, Yvonne Finn. Come on down.
Thank you, Dr. Patience. And lovely, lovely Dream Team family. Hello to everyone. Hello to all Unpassivians and everyone who will be listening to us now and later on. My name is Yvonne Finn, as Dr. Patience has just said, and I live in Canada. It is not warm, but it is sunny. That is what Sister Julie Pierre is always saying. So I will have to have part of that, the sunniness. So I just want to start with a simple little prayer. I feel like that. It's a simple prayer of gratitude, and we want to thank Lord for the blessings He has bestowed on our lives. You have provided us with more than we could ever imagine. You have surrounded us with people who always look out for us, including here on this wonderful Dream Team platform. And you have given us families and friends inside and outside of Unpassive who bless us every day with kind words and actions. We give you all the thanks and glory and praise in Jesus' name. Amen. And today, although I'm normally behind the scenes in the chat, I'm part of the question and discussion team, I've been asked to do the word. So here we go. Today, I'm asking us to explore the concept of seeing delay as preparation time. And the question is, have you ever felt frustrated while waiting for something that you've put your heart and soul into? And have you considered that what seems like a delay might actually be extended preparation time in disguise? And the context and purpose for doing that, today I want to encourage us all to reframe the concept in a positive light. Those inevitable delays that happen along our life's journey. What if we choose to see delays as preparation time rather than barriers to success? Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, let's view them as intentional or even divine preparation of extended time designed to enhance our results. In the first section, I want to say why we view delays as frustration. It's a natural human response. It's human nature to feel impatient when things aren't happening according to our timeline. We are very self-centered when it comes to that. We get attached to specific outcomes and expect them right away. But the problem with instant gratification is we live in a time where we can get almost anything with a click. Food, answers, even friendships. Just look at social media. So when our dreams or goals take longer than normal, and we think, to materialize, it's easy to become frustrated. But that need for immediate results often robs us of depth, experiential growth, and the resilience we could gain from the wait. One of the most detrimental effects of this availability and need for instant gratification is that it can cultivate a feeling of entitlement and lack of gratitude and appreciation. While our instant gratification culture often views delays as negative, we can reframe them as valuable opportunities for preparation. By embracing these moments, we can approach challenges with greater clarity, creativity, and confidence. In section 2, I'm asking us to reframe delays as preparation by making this mindset shift. We can view delays as time to refine, improve, and align with our goals. What if we chose to see delays as spaces of preparation where we sharpen our skills and focus to become more ready for what we are hoping and working for? In Unpassive, for example, some people are still saying, I'm not techie. How are we using this time then of delay in Unpassive? Remember that Unpassive is a technological company and business. Are you learning some more basic skills, such as cleaning up your computer regularly, creating and storing strong passwords, and learning about cybersecurity, etc.? All of which you can get help with right here in the one and only Dream Team. The benefits of time. Time allows us for skill development. Imagine a chef preparing for a big event. More time to prepare means that their recipes are perfected, their ingredients are fresh, and the presentation is flawless. The extra time ultimately makes for richer experience. Then the time also gives us resilience building. When things don't happen immediately, we learn persistence, patience, and grit, what we call stick-to-itiveness. Those qualities that help us to sustain success when we do get there. And then the last one here is vision alignment. Delays can be reminders to check back in with our purpose and vision. Are we still aligned with our values? This pause gives us a chance to recalibrate. And section 3 is where I have some stories, just a little reminder of people that took long time to get to where they want to get to. J.K. Rowling, for instance, she was rejected 12 times by publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. She said the delay allowed her to refine her story and become more resilient. And of course, the rest is history. And then there's Thomas Edison. We've heard about that many, many times. Experimented thousands of times before successfully creating the light bulb. Mr. Edison is quoted as saying, I have not found 10,000 ways that don't work. And then in the Bible, there's Abraham and Sarah talk about waiting, 25 years waiting for the promised son. And when they decided to rush God's timing, it resulted in an issue that has affected humanity till this day. And then there's Moses, did the same thing. He tried to rush God's plan. It cost him 40 years of his life. Though God used the time to prepare him for purpose. And Moses learned how to be patient and humble during this time. We can never defeat God's plans and purpose, but we can interfere with them. But he will always course correct. Thank you, God. Then I'd like us to also reflect on this. Think about a time when you didn't get something right away, but the waiting period actually helped you. How did that experience benefit you in the end? I encourage all of us to jot down any seemingly delayed dreams that we currently have and consider how they could be viewed as preparation time. As I'm closing here, I'd like to say this point that I'm really trying to make. By choosing to view delays as essential preparation time, we allow ourselves to gain more than just the outcome that we desire. We gain resilience, alignment, perspective, and confidence. And in the case of Unpassive, we develop a deep appreciation for the persistent and heart-centered efforts of our CEO, Mr. Ash Mufarah, and his exceptional global teams. So the next time we feel frustrated over a delay, why not ask ourselves, what is this time preparing me for? Remember that mindset matters, and that choosing to view delays as preparation time rather than setbacks requires a positive mindset And a positive mindset transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Of course, I have an acronym and I use the prepare word. Prepare. Each letter represents a concept that helps reframe delays as preparation for success. And the first letter, P, is patience. Embrace the waiting period as an opportunity to build patience, understanding that timing can enhance the outcomes and the results. Then there's R, resilience. Delays strengthen resilience, allowing you to face future challenges with a calm and determined spirit. And then E, evaluate. Use the delay to assess and align your vision, ensuring your goals match your true values. And then the other P, progress. Even if progress is slow, each step is moving you closer to that goal if you don't give up, of course. An A, attitude. A positive attitude shifts perspective, transforming delays from obstacles into opportunities for growth, as I said. And the R is refinement. Take this time to refine your skills, ideas, and plans so you're fully prepared for what's to come. And then the final E, empowerment. See delays as empowering moments, making you stronger, wiser, and better equipped to handle success. Alexander Graham Bell is quoted as saying, before anything else, preparation is the key to success. And preparation time is rarely wasted. It often leads to more profound results. So I encourage us to take this preparation time to pray for our CEO, his family, his staff, teams, our company, and for one another, that we be good stewards of the abundance of resources that is on its way to us and the world. Thank you for listening. That's me. Thank you, Dr. Patience and Dr. Derek and the Dream Team for having me.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Sister
Sister
Yvonne
Julie,
Finn.
for stepping in. Yes, Sister Julie, go ahead. Wrap it up. I have heard about prepare. I've not heard about prepare this way. Let me tell you, on passive knowledge, this is time for preparation. So, Sister Julie, take it over. And then when you give a summary, then you introduce the next speaker, please.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. Thank you, Sister Yvonne Finn, for such great motivation.
Thank you.
You spoke about instant gratification and us feeling a sense of entitlement, which is so true with some of us in on-passive. You also mentioned delay as a time of preparation to align with our goals. How are we using this time of wait to learn and try to become tech savvy? Instead of feeling those of us who are not tech savvy, how are we using this time of preparation to enhance ourselves, to learn more? Coming to Dream Team and other sister platforms, there's so much that we can learn. Even myself, I have learned so much. When I came into OnPassive, I was not tech savvy at all. And I surprise myself sometimes at the things that I can do, the things that I have learned through OnPassive. Time allows us to to perfect our learning and other qualities. Some of us have not been patient. And this time of waiting have allowed us to learn how to be patient, to tolerate each other. And these are gifts that we have received through OnPassive. You spoke about vision alignment, allowing us to remain with our core values, which is so beautiful. Delay also, you mentioned delay also, allows us to become resilience. Wow. Are we not resilient? Haven't we gone through so much, and our CEO has gone through so much. We have been there with him. And he says it all the time, that we are the ones who motivate him to keep going. So delay allows us to become resilient. It's beautiful. Waiting for God's timing is very, very important. And God's timing is always the best. Thank you, Sister Yvonne, for your beautiful words, your beautiful mindsets. It allows us to create positive mindset and growth with what is to come to us, which is success.
Amen.
To use the delayed time, we see it as delayed time, to succeed and align with our vision. And we may also be able to upgrade our dreams. Thank you, sister. Well done, well said.
My sister, thank you.
At this time, we are going to prepare ourselves to listen to our speaker for today. He's a family man. He's a husband. He's a grandfather, God-fearing man. It was my pleasure to meet and know, not meet in person, but meet through so many other platforms, especially this one, Dream Team, to know our beautiful brother, Dr. John. At this time, Dr. John, the floor is yours. Let us all listen, get pen and paper, get ready to be enriched, and now pass it over to our brother, Dr. John. Over to you, Dr. John. Thank you for coming.
Wow, Sister Julie, thank you. I didn't know you were talking about me when you started your intro. Anyway, we are blessed. Oh my goodness, Queen Yvonne Finn. Oh boy. Listen, I think if there was a way for me to stop this webinar and go replay and listen to what you just said before I come, I would have done that. But um, this is powerful. As I mean, whoa! I don't even want to start screaming.
Thank
But
you, my brother. Thank you.
really, what you said, um, if we stop this webinar now and just go back and tell everybody to listen to this again over and over, it would have been an afternoon well spent. And we're blessed to actually have these powerful words from you. And you see, when we talk about unpassive being delayed, thank God unpassive got delayed, because I would not have heard this powerful message from you. We would have probably been somewhere doing some crazy things. And I know there is a lot more where that comes from. I know I've been a fly on the wall sometimes, listening to your heart as you pour it out. And I really, really want to thank you for that opportunity to share this powerful mindset with us today.
Thank you, brother.
I was asked to talk about something, and I didn't really know what to talk about, as I normally don't know what to start talking about when people ask me to say something. But I thought that we should just have a discussion on legacy planning. Why legacy planning? Because we are creating a legacy by just being here in unpassive. And what we need to do is really think about how this legacy that we are creating, we're be used to help achieve the dream that our CEO actually set up to achieve, which was to uplift humanity. And so, for those of you who have been following us, especially on our Queen Sister Julie Pierre's webinars, you would have heard us talk a lot about aspects of what I'm going to talk about today. For some of you who have followed us on Oh Passion Singapore, we've talked on some of those elements. And I think at some points we have also touched on them on this platform. So some of you may find aspects of this presentation like anchor. Some of you may find some of them new. But however you find it, I hope that you would actually just embrace it for what it is and take something away from it. Again, this is one of the benefits of us being positioned to be prepared. And as our Queen Sister said, I have to go and expand all those acronyms, print that one and put it somewhere like my screensaver so that it can help me. And so today I thought maybe we talk about legacy planning. Why? My focus will be on the planning aspect. And because there's so much content on this, I'm going to just talk about certain aspects. And one of those areas is to just talk to us about trust. So if you think about creating a financial blueprint for yourself, you know, whether you're building a small house, you're building a mansion or whatever, it always starts with some sort of a plan on paper. We do not start building by just taking the bricks and stacking them in some random order and hope that by some divine intervention is going to actually come out to a house. So once you got that blueprint, what you need to do is literally use those pieces to actually build yourself a financial structure brick by brick. Why is this important? If I look at just some of the numbers, statistics that apply, say, to the United States, and I think if you go to other areas, the numbers probably would be higher, depending on which direction you're looking at, or are lower. 10% of people's assets can actually be eaten up by probate, or if they don't actually have some sort of estate plan. And you see that in the United States, 52% of people who are over the age of 55 really think that not having an estate plan when you pass away is irresponsible. We find ourselves at the precipice of wealth that is going to come to us, and it would be irresponsible if we do not have a plan as to how we would use that wealth. And almost 6 or 7 out of 10 people in the United States, they say that they do not have any estate plan in place. I think if we go to other countries, that might probably be higher. Or if we actually rewind the clock and look at some of us, I will talk about some of our parents, they actually didn't have a formal estate planning, but they did some things great. And I would share a story. I remember growing up in Cameroon, whenever a young man got to the age of maturity, the first thing that they did was not get married. The first thing they did was get a piece of land, build a house, and then you start to think about where you're going to get your spouse, and the two of you will settle down. And I remember my dad, he had palm trees, and some other fruit trees. And I remember him telling me that the land that they own is their mother's land, and they're just custodians to the land, and that we should all be custodians. So these were people that, even though they did not have what we call today the formal education, they understood the power of estate planning. And they knew that if they just chopped up those pieces and shared them amongst ourselves, then that legacy would probably disappear in the next 2 or 3 generations. And when I went actually and we're going through a training, I think in one of the platforms, I shared a book that is called Entrusted. And in that book, there is an example there which said, if somebody had $1 million and had 4 kids and chose to just spread that $1 million equally among the 4 kids, each of them will have $250,000. Let's assume that those 4 kids safeguarded, or they managed to live off the interest of the $250,000, and each of them also had like 4 kids. And by the time they pass away, they have preserved that 250 and shared it among the 4 kids. Now, each of them now will have like $62,500. Okay, you can see that 2 generations down the road, 62.5 may not be able to purchase something significant. But if you just play the same game and say that these children did not go squander it, but lived up of whatever interest there was, and they in turn had 4 kids each and shared the 62.5. Now the $1 million has become $15,000, which will probably not even buy a car for any of those third generation dependents. But if for some reason that $1 million had been preserved and each generation was just going to live off the interest, then that money itself would be growing because they'll probably not use up all the principal. They'll grow it. They will probably live happier, and that money will last through longer than 3 generations. So we find ourselves in situations where we neither have farms, neither have our own palm tree farms or coconut farms or coffee farms that we're going to pass to the younger generation, but we are entrusted with wealth in another format, which we need to be able to use those same principles to safeguard it so that we can grow it and pass it to multiple generations, which is what, when you hear about the Rothschilds of this world, the Rockefellers of this world, they did. And so, having benefited from the delays in non-passive and giving us time to prepare, it also gives us the opportunity to be able to think about what we would have done. Because as I was sharing, I think I was sharing with Engineer Michael, with some other people, when I joined OnPassive in 2020, if it had gone live, oh boy, the dreams I had at that point, what I was planning to do with the money. And what I now know that if, with the benefit of having had that opportunity to recalibrate, to think, to grow through all these learnings that I have gained through all these platforms, is put me in a different position where even with a tiny bit of unpassive money, each and every one of us can be wealthy, not only rich. Now, if you think about, I use the word rich, just look closer to the bottom of this screen, and you would know people that we know made it. We know Prince, we know Michael Jackson, Amy Whitehouse, that was way back. We know our brother Bob Marley. These are people that they created money, they became wealthy or they became rich through whatever they did. But because they never either had the opportunity or the right guidance to be able to convert their riches to wealth or to do estate planning, you would see that there are lots of issues that happened even after their death. Aretha Franklin is another one that things are going on, which really, if just some planning would have been done, things would have turned out differently. We know him, Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther. This is really a sad story in a way, because if you look at this guy who died really prematurely, as far as I was concerned, he literally left an estate of about $3.8 million. That was kind of healthy. And he had a will, which is good. But the will said the money will be split between the wife and the mother. If you look on the right-hand side here, you will see what the wife and the mother each had after everything had gone through the system. The wife ended up with 1.15 million. The mother ended up with 1.15 million. Yes, it was split equally between the two of them, but the government got 1.5 million. So we may not have the 3.8 million, or we may not have a huge amount of estates. What the question is, when this guy was, he knew that the end was approaching, and he knew he had about 3 point something million dollars in his account. I would bet he thought at least the wife would get closer to the $2 million rather than 1 million. So when we talk about estate planning, there are so many of these examples that are out there which we want to learn from. Because if we don't actually take the opportunity to plan, at least for those of us here in the United States, and I would say in Canada, there is an estate plan for each and every one of us already. Either one that you put in place or one that the system has already drafted for you, just waiting to execute it. And the execution of the state's one is not meant to benefit you. As you guys know, like in the US, when somebody passes away, their bank accounts are frozen. And they want to make sure that if they have any bills, they owe any taxes, they have any assets that were, or any payments that were supposed to be taken out, leave monies or whatnot, those are all taken care of. And by the way, the person who is going through looking at those papers and checking the lawyers and so on, they're billing. They're not billing the government, they're billing the estate. So we need to actually take estate planning very, very seriously, because to me, it is really part of that major financial plan, whatever financial plan we need to talk about. And as we talk a bit, most of us think that, oh, well, I don't really have those many assets to worry about. And I attended a training, and the guy just sort of asked us, how many people have an estate plan? And, like, some of us were like shyly putting up our hand, there were lots of hands down. And then he said, why not? And people say, well, I don't have an estate, because, when you think of estate, you're thinking of some $1 million type thing. And the guy then asked the question, how many of you have like a car or a home or any assets that you think are worth more than $5,000, $10,000? And then almost all the hands went up, and he said, like, how many of you will happily give away half of those assets? Just give them away, not to any charity you want, but to the government. And everybody was cursing, like, hell no, and said, okay, if you don't have an estate plan, then that's what you're just saying there, that the government has the right to be able to take up to that amount. So when we say why estate plan or asset preservation, you can see here that the reasons why people don't have them are numerous. Some people really think that, as I mentioned, it's an endeavor that we should just keep for the wealthy. Well, for the um, for those of us who are present on this platform today, we are wealthy. And if you choose not to be wealthy, Mr. Mofare has told at least the 59 of us here that on passive, as long as you're in it, you're going to win. So you at least be rich. The question is, would you have the right mindset to be wealthy? Some people just think that putting an estate plan is too expensive. Maybe, maybe not. But I think the bigger issue is that a lot of people lack the basic knowledge about what this is all about. And the last bullet, as basic as it sounds, I have come across a lot of our people who just say, I don't believe there is, I think I have time, or worse still, I have come across people who say, I've already educated my children, and that is their own estate plan I've given to them. And I said, your father educated you and left you a piece of property, right? So let's change our mindsets. And we know that, especially when you say, I still have time, life has a funny way of throwing a curveball at us. And we want to be prepared, whether you take at it from a religious point of view or from whatever practical point of view. Being prepared is something that we all need to actually do. Because if we don't do it, then we could actually get caught like very, very unprepared. And then, so as a result of that, when we talk about estate planning, we're not just talking about things for the wealthy, but we're looking at it just as part of a strategy of really looking at how to manage, how to control, how to protect your wealth. So those are some of the things that I will say we should consider when we are talking about estate planning, and talk and then play it, actually take an active role in it. Just 1 second, sorry. Let me just pause here for a moment. I want to just check on something quickly. Sorry about that. I wanted to check on something quickly. So let me just look at why, even if you look at it from a tactical point of view, asset protection could be important. If you look at this chart, this is again for the United States. You can see here that right now, based on the current law, in the United States, each individual can actually transfer up to $11.7 million of assets into what basically a lifetime exemption from taxable assets. And if you transfer those assets, or you end up that your estate plan has 11.4 million, which basically says 23 million for a couple, then you may not pay estate taxes at the federal level. Some states will expect you to still pay. However, if you go exceed that number, the government would actually be able to tax you up to 40% of your assets at the state level. For those of us in the United States, that law sunsets on December 31st, 2025, which means come January 2026, that number will come down to $5.7 million per person. And that's still a huge amount because for a family now, you're still talking 11 million. But then what's happening is, as part of even some of the federal, the government trying to see how they can rein in the costs of borrowing and the national debt that they have here, they were actually proposing to bring that number down and get the exemption to about 3.5 million. Because come to think of it, in reality, who are the people that are benefiting? The rich and the rich. And they were not only going to bring the number down, but they were also going to increase that tax rate to 45%. So if somebody has their assets that are just sitting there and they have not gone through some proper estate planning and put those assets, and we even don't enact what the current administration is proposing, but even work on the um, the current rule, which basically is like the $5 million. What's going to happen is somebody who has those level of assets will be taxed at 40% at the federal level. And by the way, the states also have their own tax. So by the time you're done with 50% of your assets that you transfer to the next generation may not actually get to where they are. So when we're thinking about estate planning and what are some of the things that you need to consider. So if you're building a house, you have to think about the electricity, you have to think about plumbing for water, you have to think about, all the light fixtures that you have to have in place so that when you start building, you can build a proper financial structure. Same thing if you're trying to look at your legacy planning. Some of the things you want to think are, okay, am I planning for tax benefit purposes? Am I doing this legacy planning so that I can control my assets, control them while I am alive, or even control them beyond the grave? Am I trying to put these strategies in place because I need to protect them? Remember, our CEO has said it over and over and over, we will be the hunted. You will not only be the hunted because all of a sudden you become an uncle to everybody. Let's leave that to Uncle Sam, who is an uncle to 230 million people. But that uncle is also a selfish uncle because he takes a lot from the Americans. But you will all of a sudden know a lot of people because you have access to money. So you need to be protected because people will want to get it away, take it away from you, either by love, by force, or any means possible. You want to really think about, I'm putting these strategies in place and I'm creating the legacy to do what? Is it for myself? Is it for my beneficiaries? Is it for a charity? Is it, to um, just, do something good for humanity? Or, I just want to set it up so that I can blow as much of it as I'm alive. And then, obviously, just because we're not going to be here forever, at some point, those assets will need to move from you to the next generation. And why not from the next generation to the other? So the strategies that we put in place need to consider all of this, or most, if not all of these aspects. So before we jump in there, when we talk about estate planning and all this love, what are we really talking about? Again, I focus on that planning, and that's why I'm saying estate planning, it is a process. It's a process of really looking at your assets, anticipating and arranging the management and disposition of those assets throughout your life and even beyond, so that they can actually do, your wealth can do whatever it is that you planned to do. That includes when I am incapacitated, or even if I need help from other people. And we should not only think about ourselves. Again, we know that we are here in OnPassive on a bigger mission to uplift ourselves, our loved ones, and our communities, and why not the world at large. So you have to consider whether your estate planning is focused at really maximizing what you want to give away um, to charities. You want to actually think whether, especially some of us who are in on passive, we know our immediate younger generation, they don't really care, they don't want to hear about it. You may want to be setting it up for the generation after them, or you may want to actually look at some other structures. Because once you think about it and you implement it rightly, then you will be able to manage, control, grow, and dispose of your assets in the way that you think about, not the way that someone is going to do it for yourselves. So, and the two words here, when we talk about disposal, there's also distribution. So you want to be able to distribute some of your assets to yourself and your your beneficiaries. But then when you want to dispose of them, if whatever structure you have in place is no longer there or is served its purpose, what happens to the remainder of whatever was set up there? And those are the things that we want to think about. We want to make sure that while we're going to be paying our own fair share of taxes, we're not over encumbered and end up being the ones that are lifting up the government expenditure. We want to make sure that, again, we are looking at where the philanthropic organizations that we want to support. So when we look at creating these plans, there are lots of vehicles that we can actually bring into play. Trusts, obviously, are some of the ones that we need to consider very seriously. Life insurance is one of those vehicles. And again, we can look at other limited liability entities that we can use to as part of the planning process. We're going to touch on a few of them. But the other very, very, very important, I don't know how many varies I can stress on this, is when we engage with the future generations that are going to be able to carry on with the management of these estates, the mindsets that we have been learning, we need to be able to also bring them along, because it makes no sense to build a very powerful and strong house. You pass it to the next generation, and all they do is put a grenade in there and blow it up. So there need to be some alignment. And sometimes, if we're not able to get our family members or to get the people that we think are our beneficiaries to take care of those estates, we may have to consider putting them through external organizations like trust companies that will manage it for their benefit. So those are some of the things that we would consider. So I did say I was going to focus mainly on trusts, but I'm going to touch on some of the other things. And so for us to actually get going, let's just make sure that we're talking the same language if you want to talk about trusts. And they're just a couple of key words here that you need to understand, so that when you're talking to somebody, whether it's a trust attorney or just somebody who can help you structure it, you understand what it is you're dealing with. So when you look at trusts, they typically 3 or 4 parties that are involved. The first one is the person that sets that trust up. That person, depending on where you're doing it, you may hear that name called a creator, a grantor, or a settler. But that is the person that just says, okay, I'm going to set this trust up. So if say Queen Yvonne Finn just decides that she's gonna set up a trust, she is the creator or the settler or the grantor of that trust. And let's just leave that part for now, and then we talk about the trustee. The trustee then becomes the person that manages the trust according to the trust document. So when you set up the trust, it actually has specific language there that specifies what can be done and what cannot be done. And the trustee has this fiduciary responsibility to manage that trust to the best of their abilities. That trustee can also be the person that created the trust, or it can be a separate individual or a company. And we would hopefully touch on that. And then there is the last one, which is who is really the beneficiary. And that is the person that benefits or receives the distributions. So when you look at some other things, you hear trusts, trust funds, trust accounts. Those are like words that are used interchangeably when depending on what it is that you're doing. And I will skip this, but I wanted to say here, and you can see I actually pulled this particular slide from a slide deck I had shared with Singapore or on passive or passion. But what the benefits of having a trust, they don't really change from one place to another. So when you create a trust, it gives you 2 key primary advantages. It gives you the advantage of being able to control your assets, being able to preserve them. And that preservation basically talks about how I'm going to manage them, how I'm going to distribute them, and how I'm going to transfer them to the next generation. But the control allows you to own those assets, not to own those assets, but to be able to control them. So the ownership, you can own the assets in your trust if that trust is a revocable trust, and I think we'll come across that. But for the purpose of those of us here on passive, what you may have to consider is one that is irrevocable. And if I don't talk about that, please just remind me. So financial management is one of the biggest ideas why you want to actually set a trust, because if you have, like, say, assets that have been passed over to a minor, there are very strict rules as to how those assets can be managed. But if those assets were put in a trust, you can actually appoint like a trustee to manage those assets on behalf of that minor until they turn age 18. The preservation and management, again, you, the person that creates that trust, you can appoint a trustee who would oversee the management of that trust based on the document, how they specify. And as a trustee, they only manage it, using the trust documents for the benefit of the beneficiaries. And in some cases, you find out that people may actually move some of their retirement plans into trusts, but those are mainly when we're dealing with companies. And I'm not going to really dwell enough on that. Or you see companies who also have like their employee benefits plans and set them up. So when we drill down a bit more, when somebody creates a trust, that trust will help with the wealth protection, as I said. It actually creates a lot of confidentiality, because if we choose to create an irrevocable trust, we may come to that, but let me just talk about that now. So you have two broad types of trusts. There's the revocable trust, which is the one that your revocable basically says, I set it up and I make it revocable, which basically says I can keep changing. So I'm the creator and I can keep modifying it. Any day, if one of the kids, their life changes and I want to add or take somebody's percentage up or down, I can change that. I can change that anytime, any day, until my last breath. The problems with the revocable trust is that revocable trust, even though I have created it, it is still part of my estate. So if something were to happen to me, all those assets of that trust will fall under my estate. And that trust is not an independent entity separate from me. An irrevocable trust is one which I set up and I literally fund it and I relinquish complete control of those assets. They don't belong to me anymore. That that irrevocable trust is a separate legal entity with its own tax ID number. And I cannot just go in there and start having anything to do with that trust. You may say, why the heck will you set something up like that and not want to have control? Control and management of irrevocable trusts is done by the trustees. So what happens in many cases is that if I wanted to create an irrevocable trust, I may choose to go get a trust company or some attorney or a CPA to be the creator of that trust. Now they are the creator, they don't have anything to do with that trust, so their job is done. They've surrendered all the assets that we fund into that trust to the trustees. I can decide to become one of the trustees of that trust, or I can decide with my spouse to be the trustee, or I can decide with my children that we would be the trustees of the trust. And then the trust document would actually say what that trust can do. I can actually specify which of those beneficiaries will actually be able to benefit from the assets of the trust. By the way, in most cases, the trustees are not the beneficiaries. So if I put myself as the trustee, I'll probably not get any direct stuff from the trust, but the trust can also pay me for my services. They can compensate me for my services. The trust can own a trust house that I can live in. The trust can own cars that I can use. The trust can take a life insurance policy on me and pay for it. And the trust can own a lot of other assets. Why is that important? Because the day that I am no longer here, in course of succession planning, it is me that died, and the state will be looking at my assets for the purpose of estate planning or for inheritance taxes and so on. But because the trust is still alive, there were no issues of assets being transferred from one generation to another. Obviously, there may be implications on funding the trust if I went and funded the trust, donated maybe excessively above whatever I can do as lifetime gifting, but I think that those ones also have advantages of doing it that way. And obviously, having those assets in the trust means then that if somebody came and decided that they were going to sue me, they are suing me and they're suing this broke guy there, and he doesn't really own anything, even though I can directly or indirectly control all the assets. Now, there are additional benefits which include, I mentioned earlier, making sure that the young and the vulnerable, you can always take care of them. The probate issue, because you and it is the trust that it is you, not the trust that passed away. There are no probate issues. There are no inheritance tax issues because I have the trust itself. It has its own assets. It's not died. And finally, if you actually get into some of life's curveballs, because you don't own those assets, somebody either from a divorce or creditors cannot then turn around and try to get you. So just to see how important this is, one of our daughters was involved in a car accident where somebody just hit them. And then after 2 years, maybe the other driver went and spoke to somebody and they said, oh, maybe we can sue and get some money. And they went in and it's still dragging on. They talked to the car insurance company that they wanted to make a claim and that they want to actually go sue. And the irony is that because the car is registered in my name, they sent me this thick pile and told me that I should list each and every asset that I own as part of their discovery. And I called the insurance company. I said, I was not driving the car. Yes, I owned the car. So and they said, well, that's a fishing expedition. So as the insurance agent told me, if I complete that paperwork and they go search and they see that this guy is worth 10 million, what they're going to do is they're going to come and say, okay, we suffered nightmares or whatever. Therefore, we're going to sue you for 10 million. And then in course of you not really wanting to go through the craziness, you may say, well, why don't we settle for about 1 or 2 million? If they go and you fill that paperwork and then they look at it and see that, okay, this person is only worth $1 million, they may choose to go sue for $1 million and then hope that you would settle for a few tens of thousands. So making sure that those assets are not in your name, because if they turn around and all I send to them are like overdrawn bank statements and no mortgage and don't own any cars, they're going to probably ask the insurance company, can you just give us something? But if they turn around and see that you have been sitting on a huge pile of assets, yeah, they're going to go after the car owner, even though the car owner was not even in bed. So this is important stuff for us when we say we'll be the haunted, and they talk about some of these things. Uh, we should really be considerate. And when we create the trust and we get a trustee to manage them, we want to make sure that that trustee sets up, because especially for the irrevocable trusts, the trustee you want them to set up completely separate bank accounts. They want them to separate that entity from you, the person. Because if you commingle them, then it starts to create, you're almost creating that link back where you're trying to sever it. Therefore, there are a couple of things that people need to make sure that you document the transfer of the assets properly so that you don't run into some tax issues. Make sure that, especially if your trust becomes one of those that wants to be giving monies away to charities, when you're opening those bank accounts, make sure that you can have a bank account that will allow you to be able to make transactions to where you want to do them and as frequently as you want to do without necessarily incurring a lot of charges. Because you can go and open a bank account that will tell you that you are allowed 2 free transactions a month. And maybe you want to do 50 transactions a month. Now you're into charges. So those are just some things that people need to take care while they're doing their trust. So I did say I was going to just touch very high level, because we have talked on some of these things at length and on other platforms, and we could revisit some of them. But they are basically, I would say, two broad types of trust. As I said, there is the revocable living trusts and the irrevocable trusts. And for the revocable ones, those are really what each and every one of us here, at the very least. You remember when I talked about Bossman Chadwick, that he had a will? Yes. So he had a living trust. And what that living trust had was, yes, he had a will. He had a healthcare directive, because when he was getting quite ill, the wife could take medical decisions on his behalf. So he had a healthcare directive. My guess is that there was some sort of a financial power of attorney. And what that does is it just allows somebody to be able to make some bank transactions for you while you're alive. But once you stop breathing, now those assets you have, they get frozen. And then they always ask you about something like a pour over will. So if you did your will and you listed all your assets, and then 6 months later you bought this super nice car, but you haven't added it on your assets, and something happens to you, that pour over sort of say, oh, if I forgot to put something, please just add it. Every asset of mine comes in. The thing I would need to just mention about the irrevocable trust is that all of these assets here, they basically roll up into your estate. They are not a separate entity, but they're very, very critical to have, especially when it comes to the will, because without a will, if somebody get to a point that you need either some sort of healthcare decisions to be taken, it can actually create a lot of problems, because one family member say, oh, keep the person on a life support. The other say, no, he's suffering, don't do it. So if you never really give instructions, now you get this beautiful family of yours now are beginning to start fighting while you're even still struggling to take your last breath. And then we talked about the irrevocable trust, which is really where, with Unpassive giving us this opportunity, we should all consider to create some of them, if not all of them. And they are so many, but I just want to zero in on 4 types that may be of benefit to us. The first one is a fiduciary or business trust. Those ones really, you can create them to just run your own passive business instead of or in addition to LLCs that you may create. Um, these are primarily set up as alternative structures for business, as I said, but they have the advantages that once you have deducted like your business trust or the business expenses, the remaining monies that you have in that trust, you actually um, could end up paying taxes, maybe even at a higher rate than you pay if you're doing just your personal taxes. But the beauty of having it done in that way is that this fiduciary trust can choose to just donate the net income, 100% of it, to a family trust, to a charity, or to some other type of trust, and then they will not be subject to income taxes, at least in the US. Some of you may find it that it is just another layer of bureaucracy, and I would say we can all, not all of us, need to bother about the business trust, because you can create limited liability companies, and which I would say maybe the smart thing to do once we start moving on with unpassive. You want to set up your own passive business as most likely a limited liability. I think on this platform about a year or two ago, we actually explored some of the tax advantages that you can have if you run it as an LLC or a corporation versus running it just as a sole proprietorship. The one that we really want to use for the generational wealth management are the family trusts. And that family trust, again, you get either your CPA, an attorney, or someone else to set it up for you. They are the creator or the settlor, the grantor, and that's all they do. And then you, like if you're in the US, you get a separate tax ID number for that entity because it's a complete separate legal entity. And you can transfer your assets into that trust, including life insurances. And once you transfer all those assets, that's called funding the trust. The activities of managing those assets now rests with the trustee. And you could choose to be the trustee of that trust. You didn't set it up. Someone else set it up, you are the trustee, and your family are the beneficiaries. So your family trust can own LLCs that own your cars. It can own LLCs that own all your homes. It can own LLCs that have all the assets, your art or whatever. Create some of those as limited liability corporations owned by the trust. Why? Again, think about it. The idea of protection comes to play. You don't want the cars to be titled directly to the trust, because if somebody gets into a problem with one of those cars and then they want to come and look at the assets, you don't want to open your trust books. You rather create a separate LLC to have your Lamborghini, so that the next time it crashes and somebody goes after it, the liability is limited to that LLC. So this becomes a very powerful tool, because you can have your children could become successor trustees after you. But if you think that they will not be able to manage it well, then you may have to consider actually putting it out to an external trust company to manage it for the benefit of your beneficiaries. And for those of you who have heard me at some other platform, sister platforms, I keep bringing this example of one of the presidents of one of the financial companies I'm involved with, who set up his family trust, and because he's a wealthy person, he's funded it well, and he's very comfortable that it will go for at least the next 370 years. So if you think about it, 370 years is not 370 days. So he has to think about those assets and think about the management of it. And one of the things that I remember him sharing was that uh, the trust is responsible for doing some 4 or 5 basic things for the beneficiaries. One of them is to help them towards the purchase of a home. And he said he's not saying buy a whole home, but there is a dollar value or that is going to obviously be index linked. And he said pay 25% of the average cost of a 4-bedroom house in that city, something to that extent. It is going to help them towards, help those beneficiaries towards education. And the education here, you're talking about the trust may then pay all the college funding for the kids, because those are trust assets. Or if the person chooses not to do formal education, but do like some vocational education, yes, they'll pay. He did mention paying towards a share of the cost of a wedding for the beneficiaries. And for him, this is where he told us he has the control even beyond the grave, because for him, he said in his family and his trust, he defined a marriage as a relationship, a union between people of different sexes. So if one of his descendants 200 years down the road chooses not to abide by that, he is not stopping them. He's just saying that they cannot use trust assets. And then basically he's saying there that the trust should also help towards the like some principle towards the creation of a beneficiary legal business entity. So if somebody comes up and they want to start a business, as long as it's legal and can generate some benefit, then the trustees can help with some sort of seed money. So you can see now the power of how we can actually have this control. And the other thing that I remember him really stressing out was that fine and good, each of these beneficiaries actually qualifies based on those criteria to receive the benefits. But he has also stipulated that they should at least acquire some basic mindsets or basic understanding in financial literacy and gain some mindsets in how money works before the money is given to them, because he doesn't want them to start suffering from affluenza and take their money and get and insecure themselves. So this is why when we talk about legacy planning, if you listen to this guy, and he is he is really a God-fearing person, and the things that he says, you can see that to be thinking 370 years down the road, basically specifying these trust documents that at any point there is a disagreement between the successor beneficiaries as to how to manage it, the trust should go straight out to an external company for management. So this is where you have control of your assets, but you do not own any of them. And then I'm gonna skip the third one, the charitable remainder, because it's more just a tax optimization vehicle as far as I'm concerned, mainly here in the US. But the fourth one is if you were to do say 2 out of the 4 that I'm listing here, it will be the family trust. And and the foundation, private foundation. The private foundation now is your oblast. This is your charitable arm. This is what you're going to use to educate kids around the world, to provide clean drinking water to people, or whatever it is that we want to do in other areas. And the advantage of having it go through the foundation, and you can think about some of the mega foundations like the Gates and the Bill and Melinda Gates type foundations. Those are nothing more than private foundations. And you set up that foundation, there is a lot of compliance, at least for the US, that to make sure that you're doing what you're doing. But you can manage it. Again, you can literally put CEOs and a whole executive to run it. There are restrictions as to whether these foundations can actually own and operate full companies, but it doesn't stop like a company donating to them. And you take these funds as long as on a yearly basis, you are giving a certain portion of it to charity or to the approved charities. You can just keep the rest growing in that trust again for future philanthropic uses. And remember, even when you run it as a private foundation, we can all decide that the next foundation planning meeting is going to be the beautiful island of St. Lucia. We'll go visit our Queen Julie Pierre, and we talk real serious business about how to help humanity. And we can either through the private foundation or the business trust actually expense some of those reasonable costs. What they're just saying is don't go against the law. The laws are there, they're very strict. They make sure that you can do what you want to do, but they also know that people set up these foundations and then they abuse them. We are not here for that purpose. We just here and we know that these vehicles are there. So just to look at how you can wrap this together, when I said uh, we can actually use this in our own passive business. Just think about this, that this is your unpassive accounts here. And you created an LLC. That LLC, and you generate some sort of income. We will have 1099s from unpassive for all our subscriptions. You would have done all your nice bookkeeping to make sure that your expenses are well taken care of, and you come up with half of that money is business expenses, and then the remainder is basically um, money that can come to you and it be taxed. And what, at least for those of us here in the US, instead of taking all that money, I can just donate all of that $500,000 to the business trust. And as a business trust, or I donate part of it, the business trust, it has its own expenses, business trust expenses, including their taxes and so on. And let's say we even donated like half of it here, or 125K. The business trust in this situation, maybe they used 25,000 for expenses. And then there was 100,000 that should have technically been taxed, but we could just donate all of those monies out to our family trust. Now you see how the wheel is going, right? The family trust also has its own expenses, which are legitimate expenses. There's 75K left, and that is all donated to your family charitable remainder trust. And as long as this charitable remainder trust gives, at least based on the US, at least 5% of that money away to charity, And then up to 50% of the funds in this charity can be used by the beneficiaries without paying taxes. That's why I skipped it and I say it's more a US tax thing. But let's assume that that was not the case. And if you were looking at $250,000 here and you kept thinking, okay, at the very least, I want to give away a big chunk to charity. Now, if there's 75,000 here and you already taken your 25,000 that you were planning to give to charity and I give it away to my private foundation, or I could give it to the Red Cross, or I could give it to whoever I choose to give, as long as it's a legitimate charitable organization. And then what happens then is, as I said, there's a tax advantage of what is left in here. And the charity now, because it's a charitable organization, they can then use those funds to literally do whatever philanthropic work we want to do. So what I'm saying is the amount that we are planning to give away to charitable activities is going to be much more than 5% of maybe 50%. It's going to be like a big chunk of the growth. So you just take it around this house. By the time that amount reaches here, there is so little, you have reduced your taxes so much into these other areas that you can basically pay the CPS, obviously, that are going to file all these entity taxes, but your net tax bill will be reasonable, if I use that word. And for people who don't want to go ahead and start having the headaches of creating their own family foundations, we know now that working together here, we may know, if I know, for example, that our sister Queen Yvonne has a charitable foundation that is focusing on providing health care to people in one area. And I'm scratching my head saying, well, I wish I set up another private foundation to take care of health. And then I realized, hang on, she's already doing it. Her organization is legal. I use either the Obless infrastructure or whatever, and I send it to her already. We're doing the same thing, and I have those tax advantages. So what I've just been trying to say is, it was so powerful this afternoon that our sister started with this mindset of getting us prepared, making us to be able to evaluate and to be able to learn. And then this topic that we're sharing is really also talking about that preparing. If we started 4 years ago, even last September, maybe, just maybe, not many of us would have thought out about what some of these things are. We would have just run around and tried to do things and maybe get into trouble. But now that we have the benefit of the delay, we now also have the opportunity to know that there are structures out there. As our brother Michael Williams normally says, don't run around and start spending money to do things yet. Just know that they are there. And when the time comes, you know that, oh, I heard about this. And then we can cycle back and talk about some of this. Or we can then look at when somebody says, I have my private foundation here, then you know what that is. For those who also don't want to do private foundations, you may choose to go do what they call the donor advised funds. You've probably heard about this a lot. These are essentially are like funds that have been set up by some organizations. I know a lot of the Jewish organizations have some real powerful ones. And you literally put money in there and you specify what you want that money to do. So unlike private foundations where you can go and manage the donor advised funds, you give them that money and then you tell them what you want to do and they manage that for you. There are some restrictions on that, and I think we talked about that donor advised funds on one of our other webinars. I just want to let you know that in addition to private foundations, that's another vehicle that's available. But the big advantage of having these structures is that it enables you to be able to manage, to be able to control, to be able to preserve, and to be able to transfer your assets in the most efficient way without actually worrying about all uh, the hunters that are going to be coming after us. I know this was a lot to just throw in, but I thought that it's good to revisit this topic for some of us who have not had the opportunity to have gone through the series that we've been going on the other platforms on this. I want to thank you for listening, and I'm going to pause here and pass you back to our queen, who is also our moderator for today. And if there are any questions, I will do my best to answer, but I don't know. Okay, I'll pause there.
Wow, 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 Dr. John. Oh my goodness. Great information. Well done, well said in layman's term. Anyone can understand. Oh my goodness, it was not too much. It's just what we need to hear, what we need to learn. Those of us who have been fortunate to hear some and more on this topic on some of our other platforms, Julie Pierre's Empowering Humanity and Dream Team. Oh my goodness, you nourish us. And we are thankful, we are grateful for your gifts, for your presence every time with us. I could give you a standing ovation right now, but that was great, Dr. John. Well said, well done. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this point, I call on Dr. Derek. Please keep our questions and we are going to come back to Dr. John. Dr. John, please don't go away. We are coming back to you with questions and discussion. But at this point, I would like to call on Dr. Derek. Are you available, Dr. Derek? Any updates?
Where is he?
Dr. Derek?
Don't see him.
All right, all right.
Oh,
Have
there he
mercy.
is.
Mercy, 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 mercy. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Queen Yvonne Finn. That was awesome. Listen, we need to make you permanently. You could have shake your finger and shake your hand and shake your head and shake your toenail and shake your toe and shake your eyelash a little more. It doesn't really matter. You understand? Doesn't really matter because you are el número de las de uno inspirational speaker. so, so you can always shake and shake and shake all you want. That's all right. That's all right. We're cool with that. No problem. But anyway, I don't even know where my camera is. Oh Lord, where my camera going? Okay, see me there. All right, wonderful. Anyway, oh Lord, where me? Oh mercy. What is happening? All right. I guess it's all over the place. All right. Anyway, I can't find what I need right now. Anyway, wonderful. Thank you very much, Queen Yvonne. Queen
Thank you,
Yvonne
Dr.
Finn.
Derek. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Come on Tuesday. Automatic. We need to have you on Tuesday to do this mindset because you are just awesome. You are awesome on this mindset. So if you want to listen to Queen Yvonne Finn again, just come on down to Deep Dive on Tuesday and you will hear her live and direct once again. Thank you very much, Queen Yvonne. And King Dr. John, that was awesome, 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 awesome presentation. Man, listen, I have two bottle water and things, so I'm going to put it in my wheel too. I'm not taking no chance. No chance. I have a few suit, no chance, no chance, no chance. So definitely, listen, people, let us just put everything in perspective and put everything properly. Listen, it's not just rich people should do. You see, and that is why when we look at wealthy people or we look at rich people, we always say it's because they are rich. No, it's because them have the right mindset. That's it. That's it. It's because they have the right mindset. You understand? Generally speaking, poor people don't have the right mindset. Let me just put it out there. We just don't have the right mindset. And this is a chance for us to have, receive the right mindset. And now it is incumbent of us to execute the right mindset. That's all. That's all. Just execute the right mindset. Okay? Because listen, we are getting the right information on these webinars, information that we would not have gotten if it wasn't for Unpassive and these webinars. So thank you very much, King Dr. John. Really appreciate it. But anyway, we are here to give a little update. And yes, there is a little update. And so I just going to holler at our queen, Kanla Rahel, to introduce ourselves.
Dr. Derek, is she on the platform today? I didn't see her. Did you?
Okay. My apologies.
It's
I
okay.
thought she was here. All right. Let me use this funny looking one. All right. And so this kind of need to come down a little bit. All right. Okay, beautiful. And so therefore, let us get right into the updates, because that is what we are waiting for. So therefore, updates. We did some update in our ecosystem, right? And so that is what we are looking at. And we had few, and on the 30th, October 30th, that's the second to last day of the month, last month. And Ash Mufari said, thanks for your patience. Thank you all for your patience. We are moving forward. Remember, we are moving forward. Always remember, we are moving forward. New updates coming this week. This week. And yes, we have new updates this week. Rock Bottom will teach you lessons mountaintops will never teach you. And that is so true. So don't be afraid with respective to where rock bottom is concerned, because you will learn a few items on the program. And just yesterday, just last night, as I checked, there was a big buzz going around that there are some new updates. And yes, hallelujah, praise the Lord. We can now really get some excitement going. With great excitement and anticipation, we are now prepared to unfold a long and turbulent chapter, moving on to the next fresh chapter. For now, we want to keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. Over the next couple of weeks, listen carefully. Over the next couple of weeks, we will be able to edit, modify, or adjust any part of our profile or our account. Whatever is there, it can be modified. All right. If you notice, there's no products apart from our founder there, and I think the wallet is there also. So apart from those two, if you notice, there's no O mail, there's no O net, and there's no O trim. Well, from long time there was no O connect since we have come back to the ecosystem. So therefore, everything is going forward. All right. So the first thing we need to do now is get into your account, log into your account, of which we can now log into our account, and please modify or adjust anything in your profile that is not looking right. All right. I think most persons or most of us they they what you call it again, oh lord, oh my goodness, they let me just quickly call look, you call it again, um they oh my goodness, i am I am stumped
What are
from
you, what are you, what are you thinking about, Dr. Derek? What are you saying?
oh lord. Okay, when you go to your profile, your
Logo? The
national, oh my
nationality.
goodness,
Okay. Okay.
nationality. For those of us who was a bit worried about the nationality, and oh, I didn't put in the right nationality, and what have you, etc., etc. You can now modify, or most of us, it is blank. All right, so we need to select that nationality, and please take your time, make sure it is the right nationality you are choosing. Only choose nationality that you have proper identification for. Let me say that again. Only choose nationality that you have proper identification for. All right? So even though you were born in Nigeria, but now you have all your documentation for the US or for UK or for London or for Canada or wherever, please to put the nationality where you have all your proper identification for. Please, all right? So don't put that you come from Nigeria when you don't even have a ticks from Nigeria. All right? Don't put Nigeria. Okay? Please. All
Okay.
right? So that is what I wanted to remember. Um, and if you notice, your affiliate link is there. All right? So you don't need to trouble that. It is already there. And so as the weeks go by, which is for next couple, few weeks, right? This is the process. Make sure that everything is in your account, your profile and everything is proper and okay. All right. Currently, we have removed all the other unneeded parts of the ecosystem, as I was saying before. Right. For right now, you don't need the O mail and O net and O trim and all of those things. All of that is removed. So this is the place where we will continue posting updates and guidance. So please to check your ecosystem, because moving forward, that is where all our information will be posted right there at the top of your in your ecosystem, where it says updates, right there where it says updates. That is where everything will be posted. All right. So please remember to check right there at the top left, more to the left. where it says updates. That is where Ashmafare will be communicating. Please don't look into WhatsApp. He's not communicating to us in WhatsApp, right? He's not communicating to us through our leaders. He's communicating to us right there in the ecosystem. So what I have right here on the screen is what is coming exactly from the updates in the ecosystem. While our team is preparing our all new and sustainable platform, let's keep it simple. I always go for simplicity. And that is, of course, our CEO with a heart. This, it's the ultimate sophistication. Ultimate sophistication. All right. So please let us check the ecosystem for all the updates that is needed. So buckle up, because this is how we do it. We are on Passiveers, and that is your update for today, November 3, 2024. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Derek.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Derek. Thank you for your updates as usual. Great job. Well appreciated.
Wow.
At this point, I would like to pass it on to our Q&D team. Dr. Benny, are you available?
Yes. Greetings! Happy Sunday! Happy new month! Come on now. Are you guys excited? This is the new month. This month, you guys are going to enjoy. You guys know that the Lord brought us here this evening, this morning, this afternoon. How you guys doing? I just want to find out first. Happy Sunday! Happy Sunday, our King Dr. John Ajongwen. Thank you all. Hey, well, I have to scream first, right?
Where are you?
Sorry. Hey, I'm here to introduce our Q&D team. Queen Yvonne Finn, could you please proceed?
Greetings there, Dr. Benny. Greetings, everyone, and thank you for being with us today as usual. We're really grateful for your presence. My name is Yvonne Finn, as Dr. Benny just said, and I look after the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I know we do have Queen Julie Pierre, despite the fact that she's doing double. Proceed, Queen.
Dr. Benny, I think Sister Aisha is in the house also.
Is she? Okay. Queen Aisha, are you available, please? Queen Engineer Bridget, are you available? All right. Queen Julie Pierre, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dr. Benny. As you all know, my name is Julie Pierre, and you all know by now that I am from the sunny and beautiful island of St. Lucia. I'm part of Dream Team, and thank you for coming.
That's cute.
All right. My name is D. Benny in Tinglet. I am also from the sunny island of Maryland, Washington, D.C. How about that? Anyway, I want to welcome each and everyone, and I want to thank you all for coming. The reason I'm thanking you all is because there are a lot of webinars out there, but you guys decided to come and see our King Dr. John. You see what I mean? But before I proceed, I want to take this special moment to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing each and everyone this afternoon, this evening, or this morning. Why am I thanking God? Because He created all of us in His image. I want to thank Him also for sending somebody to all of us Because if it wasn't for this particular individual, you and I will not be here. Mr. Ash Mofare. If you guys have time, create time and let us pray for him. We're praying for his health. We're praying for his success and for his determination that he wants to do everything to make you and I happy. Do you guys understand? And I want us to pray for those who are under the weather at the moment. I also want to thank who? Our welcome team today. I want to thank our my mindset lady. I know I believe it was a lady who presented today, who did the mindset. And I want to thank our presenter for today. Thank you, my king, Dr. John. I want to thank Queen Rose, who is really working beside the YouTube, like working, trying to help to protect us behind the YouTube. And I want to thank our moderators for today. Again, our update team, Dr. Derek. Thank you, Dr. Derek. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming. And I love you guys. If nobody said, hey, this evening that they love you, just like Queen Lerato will say, I love you all with all my heart, mind, and soul. Welcome again. Are you guys ready? If you guys, let me say something to you. Now, because of all the presentation and the mindset, right? Please, if you have questions or excitement, raise your hands up or write your question and your excitement on the chat. We are here to help you, work with you. Thank you so much for listening. Now we have King Alan G. Could you please unmute yourself and share us your excitement?
Hi, everybody. Just have a question for Dr. John about his discussion about the trust. Is it better to open a trust before an LLC first and then transfer to the trust, or go directly from your account to the trust and open an LLC in the trust, or both?
Bra Alan, that's a very good question. I would say that the LLC, you can go ahead and open your LLCs because your LLC is like one of your assets. So, for example, right now I have an LLC that I use for my consulting business, and that LLC has me as the owner. As I'm setting up the trust now, I would have to go back to the state and actually just complete a paperwork to show that I'm changing the ownership of that LLC from my name to the trust. So you can do it either way. If your trust is already set up and then you're going to create an LLC, you can then go create that LLC. And while you're creating it, the document always asks you who the owner of that LLC is. If you already have an existing trust, just put it that the trust is the owner. So if you don't have the trust yet, start up with the LLC. If you have a trust and you're setting it up, fine. But if you have an existing LLC and then you create a trust down the road, you can always, as part of funding your trust, when you're transferring your assets to your trust, you can also fill the required paperwork with your local authorities or whoever the authorizing authorities for your LLC are, and tell them that you're changing the LLC ownership, because like an LLC is a business. You can choose to sell it to me. So when you sell it to me, we can literally change the name. So you can also choose now to just change it to your trust later on.
Okay, I do have an existing trust. It's been dormant for many years. So I had nothing really to. I'm not in business anymore, and I don't have property or anything like that. So I haven't actually opened it. But with the coming of on passive, I'm going to transfer from my account directly into the trust. If I buy property, it's going to be through the trust. But is it better to put an LLC in and not your
yes,
things through the LLC because of the
protection,
yeah, also
liability.
from a tax point of view.
Yes, no taxes. It depends how the taxes, like in South Africa, how they deal with them. But the primary thing for the LLC for me is that
There's also protection.
is the limited liability. Because if you just buy, let's say you buy 5 houses and you just put them into your trust, and then let's say they are rental properties, and you run into a problem with one of those houses, and somebody wants to sue you, they'll be suing your entire trust, and all your other personal assets that are in that trust will be exposed. If you create an LLC which owns that real estate, and then your trust owns the LLC, when that particular property has a problem, you don't want the headache. You can just shut down that LLC, or whatever they want to sue, they'll only take it up to the limit of what that particular LLC is. So I will always, and when you go opening your trust, most of those attorneys that help you set it up will always advise you to use those entities, especially for things like cars and homes, because those are like risky assets.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is it better to have a trust for your properties or an LLC?
You can have both of them, because the LLC really is more for the management of it, and then the trust can own it, so that when you're passing it from one generation to another, if you created an LLC which you're using to run the business, and then the trust becomes almost like a holding company for it, so that if you were to pass your assets to the next generation, that LLC is not in Alan G's name, it's in the name of that trust, and that trust is still in existence. So there are no transfer taxes at that point.
Okay, because
And those are really good questions that when you sit down with like some of the tax attorneys, let them really talk to them, because the tax laws do vary from country to country, as you understand.
Now, I belong to a group that actually runs a fiduciary trust. I've been with for about 10 years, over 10 years now, and I opened my trust, I think, in 2013. There's been all of me. I've opened a bank account for it in order to pay the bank charges to keep it open at the moment. The account open. So once the money starts coming in, I've got the account set up and everything like that. So it's a matter of transferring into the trust and work through the trust. Once money comes in, I can open an LLC to start off with, and then create trusts as needed.
Yes, and the main thing, as I was sharing earlier, is that most of the commercial banks do not really understand a lot about trusts. So they will just open you a bank, like they'll open you an account, like they just open any business account. And so one of the advices is that once you get into creating this trust, and the person that's going to go to the bank is the trustee, not the grantor, unless it is revocable. So when the trustee goes, they really need to talk with the bank and make sure that the bank understands some of the trust banking, especially if your trust happens to be one of those that you want to use for charitable purposes. Let's say I have a trust that I want to be sending monies like to different countries in Africa and in the Caribbean or in South America. And then I go and open it with my local bank here that does not even know how to do international monetary transfers. That's going to be a problem. So when you go to talk with the banks, really make sure that in some cases they say you want to talk to the bank's wealth manager, not just the bank manager, because they may not even understand a lot about trust banking.
As I say, I'm also just opened a new account now with another one of the big banks that do more wealth management and this type of thing. But I've had their trust account with my normal bank that I've had for the last 50 years. I started with them in 1970. I started with the bank, and I'm still with that bank. Well, I've got another account going as well. But as I said, so I've got a trust account that I've got one of the things in South Africa, what they're saying that you're independent, you've got to have an independent trustee.
Yes.
Because you can't use your accountant or your CPA or your bookkeeper, whoever, to as an independent trustee, because they know they can. And if you want to do anything buy anything through the trust, you've got to go to send them an email. There's a paper trail or a proof of correspondence between you and the trustee before you purchase anything or do any transactions, anything like that, to say there is money available, and it's not. You might have pay taxes and you haven't got enough money to cover problems like a car, which can cost $200,000, and you want to go and spend that on, and you've got to pay taxes, which may be $100,000, so you won't have enough for the car. So this is why they say you've got to use it. So your independent trustee will advise you, if the money's available for you.
Mhm.
Here in South Africa, I don't know how it applies in America.
Again, that's where I've made that statement there that most of what, when I was presenting, I keep saying that most of the information I'm working on is based here. But once you start hearing them telling you that you want to work with an independent trustee or a CPA, it is absolutely important that we work with those, because we now understand the tax rules where we are operating, and you don't want to go set up a structure that is going to instead give you trouble. But
If you
absolutely,
have a CPA, you've still got to have an independent trustee.
yes. And that's where I said that if you created your trust as an irrevocable trust,
Yes.
the creator, cannot be the one running it. It has to be an independent trustee, independent of you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I say it can't be your CPA who knows you already. So it's got to be somebody either with an independent person or through the company. I've taken the company as my independent. They appoint somebody to me as the independent trustee.
Right. So those are the fiduciary people, because they need to be, you don't need to, again, I think in South Africa, they may be pushing you to actually make sure it's somebody independent, so that you are not just creating this structure to just what they call is, they don't want you to be self-dealing.
No. So I pay monthly. I've been paying a monthly subscription for the last 10 years. And it's, as I say, I think it's worth it because I've learned a lot about trust through them. And as I say, it's a long time. So I haven't actually been to one of the meetings for a while, but I had my car stolen about 3 years ago, and I haven't been able to buy a new one. Hopefully now with the new money coming through, I'll be able to at least get some new cars so I can go to the meetings, which are about 150 kilometers away, and they have them.
Well, soon and very soon.
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Brother Alenji. Thank you for your question. The more question you ask, the more some of us learn from you. Queen Yvonne Finn, I know there is something on the chat. Could you please proceed?
Thank you. Dr. John, this question is from Priscilla Cook, and she's saying, thanks very much for such a powerful presentation, Dr. John. It was an eye-opener, of course. And one question, if one sets up an irrevocable trust and decides to manage it, can funds then be added as time goes on? Or is it that once it's set up, the trust manager cannot add to it at all over time?
Okay, that's another good question.
Yes.
The first thing about the irrevocable trust, as I said, is you just if you remember the last chart that I showed where the monies were coming and going round and round, that money can be added even on a daily basis. It can be added as a donation to the trust. So you can keep funding the trust on an ongoing basis. The one thing that we just want to be very clear is that the person that opens or created the irrevocable trust, it's always like you want to get like an attorney or a CPA or someone else to open that trust, and then you can set up the mechanism, because that individual basically, once it's set up, they relinquish control over it. They cannot go changing anything, and the only people that can change my stuff in the trust is the trustees. So yes, once you create it, you create it using that third party, either an attorney, a CPA, or someone else that sets it up for you, and you could be like the trustee, and the additional funds they can come in from anybody. So there's nothing that stops me from making a donation to your trust. And I can do a one time, I can do a monthly, I can do a yearly, and then the trustees will manage it based on the trust documents.
Okay, Dr. John, I hope Mrs. Priscilla heard what you said. I certainly did. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much. Queen Julie Pierre, do you want to proceed with the next person?
Thank you, Dr. Benny. Next person, we have our brother Joseph, sorry. Could you open your mic, unmute yourself, and ask your question or show your appreciation to our brother Dr. John, our presenter?
Thank you, Sister Julie Pierre. Dr. John, thank you for the wonderful presentation. It's a very eye-opening for a lot of us. And as you rightly said, the few people who are here should benefit a lot from this. I have a question for you. Having an irrevocable trustee and putting in an LCC or two or three, do they each have their EIN numbers or they have one under the trustee? Secondly, during the end of year tax filing, are you filing it under the trustee or you filing each LCC on its own?
So, Brajo, that's an excellent question. The first thing is, if I just give it as an example of one guy that is in real estate, and this guy literally has rental properties. He has 48 rental properties, and each individual property has its own LLC with its own EIN. You can literally get an EIN from the IRS every day, one a day, one a day, one a day. So the short answer to your question is, why are you creating those LLCs? You're trying to literally protect your assets. So for people like those, I actually saw some of the examples that the guy had. Like let's just use a generic address that his property was 123 Main Street, and he just created the LLC. He says 123 Main Street LLC, and that is its own independent LLC, and the owner of that LLC is his property trust. Now, when it comes to the year-end taxes, I think I cannot give you a straight answer there, because I don't know how he chose to do it with his CPA. But if you look at most LLCs, if they are just treating them as straight flow through, then the net funds will just flow through to the parent company. I'm just thinking aloud here because, but if he's treating them like S corp, then maybe he may have to file different ones, and I think the CPA would be the best person to advise as to what the best structure is. But with regards to the first part of that question, it's if you choose again, if this person creates just one LLC and then decides to buy 5 houses and put them under that one LLC, there's nothing wrong, except that if you run into trouble with one of those 5 properties, somebody can go after all the 5. So the advice is, especially for those of us who be thinking of things like real estate, just create one for each and you can, I mean, as I said, I've come across somebody who basically has about 300 separate entities, but he structures them just to separate the risks and then has his trust like the owner of all those entities.
Thank you. Let me continue on what you've just said. If I, like a real estate, for example, owner, I have properties, like 3 properties, and I put LLCs on it. Each of these properties is bought in the name of the trust or in the name of the LLC.
It's bought in the name of the LLC. It's the only thing that links to the trust is that when you are creating your LLC, they'll ask who is the owner of that LLC. You have the option of saying that it's owned by Joseph Ngeneba or is owned by Ngeneba Real Estate Trust. So yeah, but when you're dealing with the LLCs, they nobody outside there actually knows who the owner of that LLC is. They just know they're dealing with that LLC.
Okay, then let me ask you this. If, like, people who already have their own properties in their names, to pass it over to an LLC and to the trust, what do you advise?
I think your personal properties could actually get one, and that is one of the that's you're just actually hitting a point that I'm trying to evaluate now because as I'm setting up our trust, the company setting it up is advising that as soon as we sign the paperwork, then we would start funding the trust. So when we're funding the trust, that's a question that I really want to find out whether I should create like a real estate LLC and then we transfer that title of that property to it or what, because just intuitively thinking, I would say yes, but uh, again, just because if it's your primary home, I'm hoping that nobody is going to come sue me on my primary home like they would do if I was doing a rental. But I would say that the smart idea may be that when it gets to that point, I'll probably just create a real estate LLC and put my property in it, and then the trust owns the LLC.
Okay, let me say I have a business that I'm running it as an LLC.
Mm-hmm.
And I want the business to own a, 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 a car or another, let me say a car, for example. Should
Mm-hmm.
the car be bought in the name of the LLC or in my name?
If anything, I know many of us have our cars in our names right now, but if it's a business car, then you're better off putting it under the LLC. And then because again, what is the purpose of creating the trust? The purpose of creating the trust is that we eventually own nothing, right? So at some point in time, once we have had those trusts, we want to transfer our cars, we want to transfer our homes, and whatever, you got like some artwork or some expensive stuff, you wanna use them and fund your trust with those. So basically, at the end of the day, when we run when we run your assets based on your social security number, you are absolutely broke.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks.
And again, once you go talking to the people, the companies that are setting up the trust, I know on another platform I had shared that I'm sort of working through some of this for myself, and when I sort of test drive it, I may be able to make some recommendations as to people that some people that others can reach out to. Not that I'm saying you must reach out to them.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Right.
Thank you, Dr. John. Before I go on, I would just like to say, Priscilla, who you answered previously before Mr. Joseph here, she's just sending her thanks. She said, "That's so clear to me now, Dr. John. Thanks ever so much for your generous and kind explanation." So that's for you, Dr. John.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Dr. John, I have a
Yes, ma'am.
couple of questions sent to me to ask on behalf of some founders. Would there be a need for a trust fund to be reviewed? If so, can one appoint a person to do so, to succeed?
Absolutely. You see, your trust is a living document, and you set up the trust, and even the trust documents themselves would specify like regular annual meetings or 6 monthly review meetings by the trustees. The trustees, as I said, can be um, yourself. If someone else set up that trust for you, your spouse, or your children, or it could be your children, or if you don't actually trust some of them, you can literally have like a trust company run it for you. But whatever the whoever you choose to be the trustee, the trust documents always specify a periodic review of those trusts, or periodic meetings during which there will be certain things that will be looked at, because otherwise you can just set up the trust and then 20 years later they keep saying what happened. And so it's an active document.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Next question is, can you tell us the difference between a basic will and having a trust? Is there any?
Yes, sometimes the words are used interchangeably, and again, remember I talked about trust and I said there are two types. There's the revocable and the irrevocable. The revocable one typically is, if you hear somebody tell you about, say, a living trust. A living trust is basically your will, your financial power of attorney, your healthcare directive, and that pour over will. So those four elements, some people add a few other things there, but those four elements typically are the living trust, because um, at least as far as I understand, you can get up in the morning, one of your children have become like recalcitrant and disowned you, and you could choose to disown them from your will. You could get up tomorrow and you say, okay, I need to add this other grandchild as a direct beneficiary to my will. So those are like the basic will. It just says what you want done to you, you know, either when you are incapacitated or when you are no longer here. What should happen to your assets? I want 20% to go to this, 30% go to this, 50% go to this other area. And that basic will typically is supported by the other two documents, the financial and the healthcare directive, which says if I am incapacitated, who do I want to make medical decisions on my behalf? I can choose to say I don't want anybody, or I can choose to say, okay, this is the person that can take those decisions, and that's the healthcare directive addendum. Or if I am incapacitated, I'm not dead yet. Um, who can make financial decisions on my behalf. And so those, when you take those 4 documents, people normally will say they're creating a living trust for you. And you hear those words used a lot by trust attorneys. But then if you just use the word trust, then somebody has to find out, is it irrevocable, which is the equivalent to living, or is it irrevocable, like what we just been describing? And when you say irrevocable, then the next question is it a family trust? Is it a private family foundation? Is it a fiduciary trust? Is it a irrevocable life insurance trust? So once you go to the irrevocable, the main thing is that the person that created it cannot go on changing it. And that person is not also, quote unquote, the owner. The living trust or the revocable one, I create it, I own it, I can change it until the day I stop breathing, then it becomes irrevocable. And the revocable trust has the basic will as one of the components.
Thank you, Dr. John. I hope you answered the question, and I know you do. I'll now pass on to our sister Debbie McCormick. She was here. She disappeared. Doctor.
Yeah, I think she just dropped off. So.
Okay, over to you, Dr. Benny.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. John, for answering all the questions. I believe that, hey, you know your stuff. So, hey, it's important. All right. Brother Damanu, could you please unmute yourself and ask your question?
He's trying to connect on audio, which is a bit difficult.
Thank you.
Maybe put the question on chat.
Yeah.
Brother Joseph, you can tell him to put the question on the chat, please.
I just see that it's a connecting to audio. That's what is reading on us here for him. So I can't talk to him.
No, he's struggling to connect.
All right, no problem. Queen Yvonne Finn, is there anything on the chat, please, while we're waiting for?
Yes, I understand you, but there's Dr. Nadu is also available, it looks like. So go ahead, please. There's nothing on the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Queen Dr. Nadu, do your thing. Do your thing.
Hello, thank you very much, my sister, to give me the chance to say something. I want to thank our presenter. Sometimes you think that things are easy, but when you start doing it, you feel the weight. So my question is this. To choose your destination for vacation or because you have the opportunity to visit other places like we were saying, is it easy for someone who lives in a sunshine island like our sister Julie Pierre to make a choice for a destination territory? Thank you. That's all. It's very simple.
No one had to be biased, right?
I don't want her to be in the trouble choosing where to go when she got the opportunity.
Where's Queen Julie Pierre? You lose her.
I think she's just stepped away.
She ran away from your question.
Yeah, she's left you in the lurch.
Oh my goodness.
She ran away from your question. Don't worry, we'll get her when she comes.
Oh, there she is.
Let me put my camera on so she can see me before she starts running.
Is she back?
Okay,
Sorry,
Sister
were you
Julie.
referring to me, Sister Nadu?
Yes, Sister Julie. Is it easy for you to choose the destination since you already living in the Sunshine Island with everything around you?
That's an easy question for me to answer because I'm not moving away from this paradise.
No, but you have the greens, you have the apples. Uh,
She wants you to go somewhere else.
Dr. John is there waiting for everybody's destination.
Okay, are you asking if I have a choice to go somewhere else?
Yes, will be easy
Okay,
for you.
I would go to Africa.
Africa is big.
Yep.
Well, I love all of Africa, so I don't have an actual,
Money is no object.
yeah.
Because money is there.
So I would roam all over
Discover
Africa.
in your destination.
Dr. Nadu, I would roam all over Africa because I have the money and I love Africa. I love the culture. I love the people. Oh my God, I'm in love with the culture. So,
So instead to have one destination, you gotta have 54 or 55.
Nigeria.
Okay. Okay. That's suitable. Thank you. Dr. John, I have my answer. It wasn't easy, but we found it.
Oh, you got an answer after many tries, right? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. John and the leaders, could you make this presentation available that we can go over it again?
I understand it's gonna be on the YouTube channels. So all the YouTube channels that
If you had the flyer, the link of the YouTube channel is there. If you want to go and play it again, we are live right now.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Nadu, for your question. And I noticed that our Queen Julie Pierre, she brags about my Africa, our Africa. Well, I'm proud of you. You'll be welcome, and they will give you whatever you need, and all of us will be smiling.
Thank you, Dr. Benny.
Anytime. Queen Yvonne Finn, do we have any additional question or suggestion on the chat, please?
No, Dr. Benny, nothing has come up yet.
All right, we're still waiting for Damanu. If not, I'm gonna hand it over to the moderators. If he doesn't come, we're just gonna give him 2 more minutes. If he doesn't show up, then we are going to hand it over to our moderators to proceed. Thank you so much, my Q and D team. I love you all, right? It is good for all of us to work together as a team because Mr. Ash Mufere said, everybody, we have 1.4 million accounts, or let me just say, all of us, right? That we should work together as a team. Are you guys ready? Are you guys willing to work as a family? Happy New Month. Happy Sunday. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. B.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, Sister Yvonne. Thank you, Dr. Nadu, and everyone else for your questions, your excitement, your discussion, and your appreciation to our presenter, Dr. John. Dr. John, since we have, I don't think the man is available, is he?
It doesn't look that way, sister. No.
Okay. Since we have no more questions, any more questions for Dr. John? At this point, if we have no more questions,
The
Dr. John.
Manu is still not available?
No, we're still waiting for him. So if he doesn't come, then Dr. Pat, maybe you can proceed.
Queen Julie is asking for Dr. John's closing remark. Is okay.
Yes, Dr. John, we want your takeaway. We want something to help us think tonight.
I don't know how much thinking we want to do, but I think the one main takeaway that we should have from this meeting is really what our queen said during the mindset, the word that acronym prepare, and just think about it that instead of us complaining and griping that, oh my God, this unpassive is late and all that good stuff, let us just count our blessings. First of all, let's just thank God that Unpassive found us. If any of you found Unpassive, then you're the lucky one. But as far as I know, many of us Unpassive found us. And we have our CEO as well as his team. They're working crazy and with all types of abuses and so on, working very hard for our own success. So what we need to do is really, as Dr. Derek has said, we need to take what Queen Yvonne said as an opportunity to build our mindset. The CEO had promised that he is going to give us the physical, but it is up to us as to what we do with it. And the difference between what we would do, whether good or bad, is really based on our mindset. And so this platform, as well as the sister platforms, have been providing us the opportunity to learn, to develop our mindsets, to get to know each other. And one of the things that we need to do is really prepare ourselves so that when the world starts to flow, we are not like those people that win the lottery and then they kill themselves, they become broke, or they become miserable. We want to be well prepared. And one of the things to do is to really learn how money works, to learn how we can convert riches to wealth, and to understand that, as Dr. Derek again said just during the beginning of his of the updates, the rich do not get wealthy because they are lucky. They get wealthy because they understand that there are different tools and methodologies to convert that wealth, those riches into wealth, and then maintain it and grow it and preserve it and then transfer it to the next generations. If we do that, then the legacy that we will be able to leave would be permanent footprints that will last, and that humanity will turn around and look at us and be thankful for us, be thankful for Unpassive, and they will be thankful to God for the opportunities that we find ourselves here today. I hope that at least this did like just throw some concepts out there. There is nothing that has been shared today that is meant for you to just go and be able to do it yourself. The purpose for sharing is for you to understand the concepts so that when the time comes and you sit down and you're talking with the right people who can put these structures in place for you, you are having a discussion rather than being talked at. That's the difference. And I hope that this was useful. We'll continue to work together. Let's continue to pray for our CEO and his family. And let's continue to pray for each other. We know that there are many people that we're even losing some of our members. Some of them are sick. But let's continue to just lift up each other. And as long as we stay together, we are all in it to win it. So have a good afternoon, have a good evening, and stay blessed.
Thank you, Dr. John. I'm sorry I have to interrupt, but you're not quite finished yet because our handsome brother Momadou Jallo has just popped in with a question. He says, if you have a family trust, but you don't have an asset like a house, can you use the trust and buy a house as an asset? Do you want me to repeat it, sir?
No, I got it.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, your trust can actually. When I was talking earlier, Mamadou, and saying there that if you create an irrevocable trust, you can literally, you don't own anything, and you as the trustee of that trust, while you are not a beneficiary, you can be living in a property that is owned by the trust. You can be driving a car that is owned by the trust. And the other things that the trust owns that as a trustee, you have beneficial uses to it. So yes, if you have a family trust, let that trust can actually go out there and use a trust money to buy a home. And in fact, I know of situations where the trust will not only buy a home for the trustees to live in, but let's say that one of your kids wanted to buy a home, the trust will go buy that home and then let that kid be paying some nominal mortgage to that property. And at some point in time, if they choose to sell that property, they share the equity. So yes, the trust can do a lot. The only thing you have to just remember is what I said. Don't go buying all those houses directly in the name of the trust. If preferably create like another legal entity to protect the liability of that asset, but let it be ultimately owned by the trust and not you.
Thanks again, Dr.
Thank
John.
you,
I have
Dr. John.
Okay, go ahead. But unless you're going to announce Dr. Patience because she has her hand up. So
Well,
please.
you go ahead, Sister Yvonne.
Dr. Patience, please. She just texted that she said she had her hand up. I didn't notice that, and you didn't obviously either. So, Dr. Patience, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead, please. Thank you.
Mine was not a question. I can't see where to raise my virtual hand, so that's why.
Oh, okay, okay.
Sorry, guys. Wow. I'm trying to take a snack because I've not eaten. Sorry about that. What is sing thing? Let me try to talk like Dr. Derek.
Sing thing.
What is sing thing? Queen Yvonne. I tell you that Dream Team has talent, Umpasi have talent.
Thank you.
You've heard mine said here from various people, Queen Yvonne, Sister Lerato, Sister Julie, Sister Debbie, Dr. John, and all of them motivate me when I come, and I'm like, how can people talk like that? Because I don't think I have that talent at all. It was, and Sister Julie, I'm seeing all the talent that people had. I saw the other had the word today. Thanks for running the meeting smoothly. Dr. Benny, Dr. Derry, we're waiting for the next stop when we get to the next stop, but I just want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you, Dr. John, for the education. Every day people talk about trust, legacy, money. I get confused. But I was listening to something, and I think you and Dr. Derry said something today that the rich people are not rich because they are wiser than us, but because they know how money works or they have know where the tools are. And one person made a simple scenario about why sometimes it's even good to own a property. He said, okay, you own a property, you build equity. Your children want to go to college. Instead of going to take money from loan shark or some people, you take it where? From your equity. So the money stays in the family, basically. That's what she was trying to say. And that's how you build generational wealth sometimes too, right? And that person goes to college, is successful, gets a property, equity. And what happened? You take money from your own source. You don't have to go and borrow from somebody else and pay interest to them. You're paying interest back into your equity or into your source. So these things are very, very important. There's a lot of money out there and most of us don't know it, including me. So thank you for coming here every day to educate us. Thank you, great team, for running at the background, very quiet, because today is one of those days, but we thank God we are all here. And since Sister Julie already said it, don't forget to join all the sister platform and deep dive Monday, Thursday. Dr. Derek, are we using Eastern time or are we going to use East Caribbean time? Because the time we fall back today, so I don't know. So Dr. Derek will keep us posted. But Europea is starting
Eastern Standard Time. Eastern Standard Time.
So is it going to still be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Dr. Derek?
No, 7 Eastern.
7, okay. So Dr. Derek, Monday and Tuesday and Thursday will be 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, starting next week. Take note of the time change.
Starting this week.
Yeah. Oh, this week, today is Sunday, Dr. Derek. I keep forgetting. You know, my week starts on Monday for me. So, and the Repair Empower Humanity will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. And Queen Miriam, I think it's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mindset. 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Queen Miriam. And then I think All Passion Malaysia will be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday morning. And Queen Yvonne, are you posting 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for One Global Movement?
It looks like that, Doctor.
Okay, so they'll be staying with the Eastern Standard Time. It will be 1 p.m. So please, I'm calling this platform not that it's the only platform. These are platforms that I go and I know they really nurture the mind, nurture the compassion, nurture the vision that our CEO had to uplift humanity. And they educate us as well. So if you want to stay secured, join Deep Dive on Tuesday. If you want to know how to be healthy, because money without wealth is broke, join Deep Dive on Thursday. Trust me, you will learn from water to seed to little things that can make your life better. And don't forget to join Dream Team back next week, 12:45 Eastern Standard Time. We love you all. We're so in it to win it. And Dr. Derek, you can close the YouTube. Thank you all joining us on YouTube as well. Join us this week or next week. Join every team. Keep on top of the OES. Check the updates. Exciting stuff are coming. We love you all. We are so in it to win it. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Pat.
Thank you.